Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously wherever you are in the world. So what do? 3, 2, 1, my juice little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright. Yes, they are, aren't they, my delicious little babies? Now then. So it's the 30th of May, 2025. It is very dull outside. It is 3 p.m. in our old England, my delicious little babies. The weather is quite windy, very dull in the sky, very dark grey. It was sun shining slightly earlier, but it's not, how can I say it? It's not super duper cold, if you know what I mean, okay? Anyway, so that's the weather forecast, okay? So I hope that wherever you are in the world, that it is so super duper delicious and beautiful weather for you all, okay? Now then, my delicious little babies, so I'll tell you the first one, and then there's just another two to look at, my delicious little babies. Should anybody have any form of an interest, and then I'm over and out. Okay, my delicious little babies. So this is the first one, all on YouTube, my delicious little babies. This uploader happens to have 5.29 million subscribers, my delicious little babies. Now then, capital S, this is the uploader, my delicious little babies. Sergio, okay, capital S, then space, capital O, outdoors. Okay, my delicious little babies. So it should read in the old space bar in YouTube, Sergio space outdoors. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, this was a few weeks ago now. Okay, my delicious little babies. I watched a couple of these videos. Really, really good, you know, my delicious little babies, okay? I think is about, it's not long. Is it about 15 minutes or something long, my delicious little babies? Anyway, should read top 21 survival and camping life hacks for any situation. Okay, my delicious little babies, so I'm just going to repeat that again for you. Top 21 survival and camping life hacks for any situation. Okay, my delicious little babies. So yeah, and with anybody not in that way, not in that way. But he's flipping banging, he's. I mean, really, you could survive forever if you followed what your man here's doing. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? I was ever so fascinated, you know, my delicious little babies, okay? Really fascinated. But like the video's just not boring at all, you know what I mean? It sort of goes from one to the other, bum, 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 bum. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Yes? Anyway, well, for myself, I do happen to love camping. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? I haven't been for years, but I do enjoy camping, you know what I mean? Because it's a wonderful experience. And of course, the last time I went, I've seen tons and tons of stars, my delicious little babies. The last time I went, we don't see any here in Old Brum, my delicious little babies. No. Maybe the low satellites or something, but we certainly don't see any stars, my delicious little babies. Now then, so it was never like that when I was young. Anyway, I'm not old now, my delicious little babies, but it was never like that at all. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? Since when do we have these clouds at midnight? My delicious little babies. I do not ever remember it being that way when I was little, my delicious little babies. Now then, so there's another 2 videos here now. One is just over 6 minutes long, my delicious little babies. This uploader happens to have 98.4 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies. Capital M in the old space bar in old YouTube, my delicious little babies. Manchester space evening, capital E, space, capital N, news. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I'm just going to repeat that again for you. Manchester space, evening space, news. That's how it should read in the old space bar when you type it in, my delicious little babies, please and thank you. This video should read, police name 53-year-old suspect charged after Liverpool parade crash. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I'm just going to repeat that again for you, shall I? Police name 53-year-old suspect charged after Liverpool parade crash. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now, what I thought was really strange about this is that because for some days, I'm going back to when I was super duper little, okay, my delicious little babies. We used to have some neighbours, and anyway, it was a similar name, my delicious little babies, okay, but strangely enough, they were on my noddle for a few days, my delicious little babies, because I remember, because the daughter, she used to work, because I had two daughters, and she used to, they were a beautiful family, bless, and she used to work not far from our school. So she said to me, to myself, she said, if you would like to ask your dear dad, you know, if it's all right, and I will drop you to school because I'm going that way. Wasn't that lovely, my delicious little babies? That doesn't mean that I've got an itch. Yeah, and so she used to give me a lift in the mornings. Ours, such a beautiful little family, you know, mummy, daddy, and the two daughters. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, but they were on my noddle. You know, I haven't seen them for absolutely decades. Last time I seen them was when I was very, very, very little. But it was just really, yeah. So when I heard this name, I thought, yeah, put it together. Do you see what I mean? And I never wanted to say it at the time because I suppose I just never thought much of it, if you know what I'm saying to you, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? But, yeah. So listening to this now then, with this particular video, well, he's, what is it, 7 counts of something. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? And then I'll tell you the other video, then I'll close my book, my delicious little babies, because we need to go back to where we need, there we are, to go back to my delicious little babies. So this uploader, this is the second video. So that's the first, you know, the second video out of 3 that I'm advertising my delicious little babies today. This uploader happens to have 19.5 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? And it is called, have I advertised these the other day or something? I cannot remember now. I may have done. Anyway, capital B, break, space, capital T, the, space, capital R, ice, ice, baby, doom, 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 doom. Do you remember that song, my delicious little babies? Ice. Okay, my delicious little babies. So in your space bar, again, should anybody have any form of an interest, should read, once you've typed it in, break, space, the, space, ass. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? Now then, this one here is just over 41 minutes long, my delicious little babies. I listened to it yesterday evening. And it should read the video, Liverpool car attack, ex-Scotland Yard, John Wedger weighs in. Okay, my delicious little baby, so I'm just going to repeat that again for you, shall I? Liverpool car attack, ex-Scotland Yard, John Wedger weighs in. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, so now I'm going to close my book, okay? So it's all ticked off, yes. So now we've got to go back. Now, what was on my noddle to do with this? Okay, my delicious little babies. Okay, so we've seen where he slammed the door. So what John Wedger in that video, my delicious little babies, he's talking to, because he's a guest on Break the Ass, is that what he's saying is that there was some strange things. Do you know what I mean? Now, I have you know, looked at this footage again not long before I came on the video to you, my beautiful little babies that you all are. And yeah, the way he opened the door, I got what John was saying, the driver who, for whatever reason, did this, my delicious little babies in old Liverpool, bless them all. God bless them all. Well, it's the way he opened the door, the driver, and then just slammed it shut again. Yeah, so I got where John was coming from there, okay? Now, going back to the old pandemic, my delicious little babies, okay? And also we need to look at, there we are, the car. So the car. Well, it's the Ford, isn't it? My delicious little babies, yes. Okay. Now, what John was saying was, this is the ex-Scotland Yard. I did advertise him again the other day. Okay, is that he's saying that there is something called you'd need to listen to it should anybody have any form of an interest, my delicious little babies, because you know automatic cars. Okay, well, me myself personally, I've only tried an automatic car once. I've never been into them. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? Okay. I had an ex who used to drive a lot of automatic car. I'm going back decades, my delicious babies car. Just prefer the automatic. But I prefer the manual. Do you know what I mean? Changing all the gears and you got your, do you know what I mean? You got your brake, you got your acceleration. Do you understand? I just prefer the three. Do you understand what I mean? Pedals. But of course, as we very well know, with an automatic, there's only two. So what did he call it now, John Wedger, on this video? He said it's called, is it brake? What's it called? Brake confusion or something to do with the pedals or, you know what I mean? Where you get mixed up or your foot gets mixed up, something like that now then. But that was a really interesting, there we are, video to listen to, my delicious little babies, okay? Yeah, it's quite amazing. But all the time I was listening to the video, because I talked about this the other day, didn't I? Because of our lovely, iconic, on YouTube and on our lovely davidite.com, his dear little sons and their dear little friend, blessed, you know what I mean, okay? Because that's how I heard about it, my delicious little babies. Well, you see, when I was listening to the conversation, because apparently it's absolutely blown up all over social media, apparently, my delicious little babies, okay? Well, I'm not surprised because, this is, it's a terrible thing to happen, isn't it, my delicious little babies, okay? Nobody can believe that somebody could do that. But I have seen, there we are, other videos to do with China, where that has gone on. Okay, my delicious little babies. But, and let me tell you, they feel nowhere. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? Yes. Anyway, not talking about all the Chinese, it seems to be certain, it seems. But a really interesting video to listen to, because even for John Wedger, he doesn't fully know himself. Do you see what I mean? Okay, but when I was listening to the video, I thought to myself, I do not feel as if your man there who was in the car, I just don't feel as if he wanted to kill anybody. I just never got that feeling for some for some reason. I just didn't feel as though, of course what he's done is absolutely terrible. Yes, it is. But until we know what it is, plus I've seen a photograph of him. I've seen two, actually. He does not look as though he's 53. So when I'd read somewhere to say, he doesn't look 53, I totally agreed with that, because he doesn't look 53. My delicious little babies. Apparently he's in court today, isn't he? You know what I mean? But, it will be very interesting to see what's going on. Now, this is what's taking my noddle back. Because once I'd heard this, right, I thought, you know what? I thought, when we go back to the old pandemic, where, everybody had to be locked up. Of course, I just carried on, laugh as usual, my delicious little babies. I never wore a muzzle. I never took anything. I never stood, what was it, 6 feet apart. I never did any of that, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? Okay? Because I knew, there we are, that it was one big scam. Do you see what I mean? My delicious, there we are, little babies. Anyway, I was pre-warned as well by my beautiful, dear little spirit guards, my beautiful little birdies. Okay? 3 weeks before. Anyway, my delicious little babies, so I already knew what the crack was there. But whilst ones were locked up, there was a lot of activity on the streets. Like to do with the lampers, to do with these 5G towers, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, yes. And who was talking a lot about this, going back years ago, my delicious little babies, was our lovely, and again, with anybody not in that way, our lovely davidark.com, David Ark, and his lovely dear little sons were talking about it, Gareth and Jamie. Okay. Also, our lovely Mark Steele, Steele, okay. He's very skilled in the knowledge to do with these, type of weapons. Okay, my delicious little babies. Okay, so he was talking about it. So bless them all. Also, our lovely Charlie Ward. Okay, he's on Rumble as well, my delicious little babies, because of course we cannot get him on BitChute because we unfortunately stumbled there. But of course we know why. Unfortunately, we cannot see BitChute in our country, my delicious little babies. Okay. So very sadly. Now, and there was a lot of discussion to do with this 5G, my delicious little babies. Okay. Now, as it would be, and this sounds far-fetched, but I can assure you now, my delicious little babies, okay, there we are. This is very real indeed. Now, I will even tell you, because I was looking years ago, this was before I actually started my channel. I never needed to stumble there. Well before I ever started my channel on YouTube, my delicious little babies, okay, this is well before. And I was seeing very odd things on videos on BitChute, my delicious little babies, okay. Now, these, to do with this 5G now, and this is very serious, my delicious little babies, very serious indeed, because you see, depending on what, very sadly, somebody, okay, my delicious little babies, okay, this, to do with this 5G business, if they was to turn it on, it can even make somebody who could be just walking down the road, and if they've been very sadly, okay, my delicious little babies, then they could just make them just stop still. And of course, there we are. It could be a lot worse. There we are than that as well. What they can do, my delicious little babies. Okay, these are behind this business now. My delicious little baby. This is putrid business. But I was listening to a lot of it, and I was following a lot of it, and I happened to there we are. Found it very interesting and very fascinating. My delicious little babies. Okay, but this is just unreal. So, looking at this, my thoughts are, especially with this, your man there, his birth race, his face, the one who was driving, what is it, a Ford Galaxy, okay, my delicious little babies. He did not come across to myself as somebody who would be a killer. See, I'm getting nothing across my shoulders that do you understand what I mean? Like you could get like you could look at somebody as one example, my delicious little baby. So you could look at somebody and you could say, oh no, there's something very, very nasty or something very, very shifty about yourself, and I'm not a liking. Do you see what I mean? Okay. And then usually over time now, then there we are. You usually find out there we are that your gut instinct, you know what I mean, your inner self, there we are, was correct all along. Do you see what I mean? Okay. But when I looked at this one, I thought it doesn't strike me as somebody who would go around killing others. It just doesn't. Now, whether I'm right or wrong, I just do not, I don't know. So could something else have played, I don't mean played in a ha-ha way, my delicious little babies, could something else, there we are, have played a part here? Okay? Because it's making myself wonder. It's like, like to do with the old pandemic and everything and all this now, then, okay? And then you were seeing on different videos, and when I started doing my videos, okay, not long after that, I did start to talk about this, my delicious little babies. If one's was to go back, to my videos virtually, sort of at the beginning sort of thing, or say after about 6 months or something like that, do you know what I mean? You'll find that I was talking about things now. And where, somebody, there's one that sticks in my noddle when they were just studying, was it studying the bank? Was that in somewhere in China or something? And they're studying the bank, and all of a sudden they started turning round like, like something was, like they were scared of something. They were sort of, and spinning round and then just collapsed on the floor. And we were seeing quite a few different, there we are, videos that this was happening to certain my delicious little babies, okay? So I'm wondering whether there's something else there we are here. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if somebody said to whoever your man is there now, what's his name, Paul Doyle, was to say to him, just go and mow a load of innocent mankind over, I'm pretty sure that in his correct right frame of mind, he wouldn't do it. So I do not feel it's that. So I do not feel that somebody's told him to do something. But I feel that something else has taken place here. So it's absolutely appalling. I personally find it absolutely tragic what has happened, my delicious little babies. But what we need to do is look at what has gone on here. But yeah, I totally agreed with John Wedger, when he opened the door, your man there in the Ford Galaxy in Liverpool, and he opened the door, and then it's like he looked and then just shut the door again. So could there be, something else, or could something have already been started to be activated? My delicious little babies, there we are. This is what I'm saying. Do you see? Okay, because you can get, say, a normal man or woman. Do you know what I mean? And then odd things would start to happen. The best thing to do would be to you can actually, if you go on to our lovely, once again, davidart.com, okay, and somebody else who was really talking about it as well was our lovely UK column. They were talking about the 5G as well years ago as well, my delicious babies. There was quite a number actually who were discussing to do this 5G. Okay, my delicious babies, and I heard, what was it, not so long back, is there a 6G or something that's been done or something, my delicious babies, only from what I'd heard somewhere. Anyway, my delicious babies, but best thing to do, because our lovely Mark Steele, and like I said, not in that way, not in that way. Our lovely Mark Steele, but it is with an E on the end, like I said, his name. He's actually on a Substack. So you can actually, if you was just to, maybe go and type in Substack, it's 2 words together, it's all one word, Substack, okay? And then just type in Mark Space Steele Substack. And then maybe if you follow him, okay? Because I'm pretty sure, would he have videos up? I think that I'm following him. I think, when did I do it? The other day, he happened to come up when I was looking at something else on Substack, and then he happened to come up, and then I just clicked on follow. Do you see what I mean? Okay. And then you'll get, there we are, a better idea, there we are, of what I'm talking about, my delicious little babies. Okay. Because you just cannot see how somebody would just do that. I mean, if somebody as well has lost, and that's something else that John Wedger said. So I was listening very carefully, there we are, to what he was saying, and he's absolutely banging correct, because, like say as well, he's absolutely correct. Like you get over the decades where you've heard of these hit and runs, okay? Or even if you have these fast car speed chases, they'll usually abandon the motor, the wheels, brums, and then they'll flipping dart away, weren't they, my delicious little babies? Do you see to me? So he's absolutely, there we are, bless him, banging correct there. You see, but this one here now, it's like he'd done the damage and just stopped. And then when somebody was banging on the window, the back window to the car, to the Ford Galaxy, the driver was clearly very agitated and started to reverse. So there's definitely something. I cannot just see that somebody would just wake up in the morning and just say, right, this is what I'm going to do. I would say that, even though we are in a world of flipping some psychopaths, smart, delicious little babies, okay, but for your average Joe public, no, they wouldn't wake up in the morning and just say, right, okay, I'm just going to go and mow a load of mankind down. You just wouldn't do it. So what else is going on? So we're back to this again. There we are. What else is going on here? You know what I mean? And that photograph, he happened to be pretty smiley on that photograph. So what has happened to him? In a very short space of time. I'm wondering, my delicious little babies, as I'm sure for yourselves, you would be wondering that too, my delicious little babies. Anyway, that's the end of my video. So, yeah, it's just very lights out. So, yeah, it's just very, it is a strange one. And John Wedger, on that last video that I mentioned, he said it is a strange, there's something, else here, but it wasn't that. It was just, I just went back to the 5G. There we are, my delicious little babies, going back years ago. And let me tell you, you got 5G towers not far from where I live. See, stumbling again, my delicious little babies, but I'm not changing my video. Yeah, one just up the road, then another one just up another road. Oh, yeah, they were very busy in that time, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? When they were telling everybody, you must look after granny, keep away, you know what I mean? You must stay locked in, do you know what I mean? Because of something, my delicious little babies, okay? And when all the time, there we are, they were very busy on the street now, do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies, yes? So I'm just wondering what's going on. But like I said, this is, there we are, very real. I know it sounds that it's not real or it's far-fetched, but it's not far-fetched. My delicious little babies, okay, they only have to press that switch. Okay? Very serious, there we are, indeed. I remember years back, our lovely David Ark, our lovely UK column, our lovely Mark Steele, and our lovely Charlie Ward and others, were trying their best, there we are, to get this message out. My delicious little babies, do you see what I mean? Okay, but of course at that time, you did have more who were going on online, you know what I mean, to try and find out, to see if they could find out other information. But it's just, it wasn't reaching, very sadly, there we are, enough for it to reach, do you see? But I remember looking at this going back years ago on BitChute. I mentioned this well over, it was a few years ago now on one of my videos, my delicious little babies. Was it in Spain or somewhere like that? I don't know if it was Spain or if it was Italy. Anyway, this massive 5G tower, and they started to flipping saw it down, like with one of these, what do they call them? Them metal chainsaw things. You know what I'm talking about, my delicious little babies. Then it flipping went timber, flipping straight down, my delicious little babies, because they never wanted it there. So what happened was, only in that video, so I'm only explaining the video that I saw years ago, because I did mention this a few years ago that, yeah, and that's what I saw. And it did end up, there we are, sawing it down, because it just said they just didn't want it, because it's, us as mankind, we're not supposed to have any of this type of thing around us. I mean, and I'll repeat again, if we look at like our homes, like electricity and everything like that now, do you know what I mean? It's, it's all dangerous, isn't it, my delicious little babies? Do you see what I mean? Okay. But really, we're not supposed to have anything like that around us. You know what I mean? Just like the lights and the lamps, the street lamps. I mean, they're not what we're meant to be having around us, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? Okay. So, and of course, they never asked for anybody's consent when they were doing all this. But like I said, this is going on around the world, my delicious little babies, not just in old England. It was going on in other countries there we are as well, my delicious little babies, okay? So, one's, I'm not talking about ones who already know my delicious little babies, but, but for others, maybe just take a look into this, do you know what I mean? Or even if you type into DuckDuckGo, 5G and, maybe, mix your words up a bit. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Yes. But anyway, that's the end of our video. So sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families all be fully protected, okay? Please take care of yourselves now, my delicious little babies, and please try to take care of others, okay? And thank you so very much for any views, for any likes, and for the occasional comments, because they are always so very much appreciated and very much welcomed, okay? But yeah, my videos just don't get out these days, my delicious little babies. So I always say, who is meant to listen shall listen, and who is meant to see shall see. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Okay. So yeah, but we're going to have to find out now then what's going on here. But it'd be well worth taking a listen to both of those videos, my delicious little babies, to do with that man there, your man there, Paul Doyle. But there's something clearly, whatever's going on here, something, there we are, severely wrong. There we are, very, very, very wrong indeed. Okay? There could have been, I don't know, could have been just a switch in his head, just a... Do you understand what I mean? We don't know what has happened, my delicious little babies, but I'm just going back to, like I said, that 5G business. There we are, do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? So until my next video, it is very sad news, but like I said, if we can keep everybody who very sadly was involved in that very nasty incident, if we can please keep them in our thoughts, my delicious little babies, okay? Because, you do not go out to a football, what's it to do with a parade and end up being run over, my delicious little babies. That's absolutely disgusting, isn't it, my delicious little babies? But until we know what has triggered this, what has caused it, I'm pretty sure, pretty sure there's going to be a lot going on, isn't there, to do with this, my delicious little babies? Yes. Anyway, so much love, and you just take care now. Thank you once again for listening. Goodbye.